Okay, so let's take a look at how you can create a virtual machine that hosts your MongoDB server. So first thing, we will go to All Services and then find virtual machine. So Azure virtual machine can host variety of Linux images that contains the database servers. So we go to compute, then virtual machine. Currently we don't have any, so what we'll do is we will create Azure virtual machine, right? So here what we can do is we will start from basic configurations, right? For example, there is option for subscription, we pick that. Then resource group, we can add that. Next, let's say we type in MongoDB VM as virtual machine. Then we pick region US East, which can change based on our image. So let's go and try out different image here within this particular image explorer. We are going to type in MongoDB. Now that would allow us to explore, right? So we enter the MongoDB. We will also set the price here free, right? So we type in and get the free price, and it will filter out this DevNami package for MongoDB, right? So this is the only package we have. So select that, come back here, it will automatically change few things. For example, it changed the region. I can also change the security type to comply. Now next thing, we will also set the size of VM, 1 CPU, 1 GB memory. And in case of admin account, I will select SSH public key, right? We'll keep the Azure username to default, so the key value pair and key value pair name. Next comes disks, and here we will set standard HTTP as disks and delete it with VM and let the default remain. Next comes networking, right? And where we can set few things like virtual network, subnet, public IP, and then codes for NIC setup as well. You can check the delete public IP and NIC when VM is deleted. Then comes management option, where we can specifically manage few things like identity for your virtual machine along with Azure Active Directory option, where we can choose to log in, but that option is not supported for this VM, right? So now let's move to monitoring. Here we can enable alerts, then diagnostic options. So I will go with the recommended one, right? Now moving to advanced options, here you can add extensions that can be used post deployment, and if you have any VM applications, that can be added to the deployment as well. Now comes the custom data. You can add that if you are planning on provisioning certain rules and policies along with some data. In that case, you can use that. There is also user data option, so I'm skipping that considering we just want to deploy DevNami's MongoDB server. There is no check option for NVMe, which is our SSD. So performance related check we can't do as we are using standard HDD. Then comes host capacity reservations and proximity placement group. All of these we are going to keep for default. Now let's go for next. Here we have tags, and I'm setting those tags for empty because I don't want to sort it out as the VM will be deleted after some time. So here I will just move to review and create. Now in this particular step, what will happen is that it will go for validation. Once the validation is passed, we can go and create the image. Meanwhile, we can take a look at the pricing. The DevNami image doesn't cost you anything per hour, and however the VM charges will be listed here. right? So we'll check everything and then click create. So this will ask you for this particular SSH key. So you will download this, and once downloaded we can later use it for bastion, or we can even use it for party SSH, right? So let's wait for it to move to deployment phase. Once it goes there, it will take around 2 or 3 minutes, and we can see the deployment for the MongoDB server. Then we can go to our SSH. So meanwhile, I will just move the key, which is our MongoDB key, and I'm going to move to the place where we have party generator, right? So I will remove any previous keys within my folder. I will store it here. Now within this partition exe, I will execute this and give it my pem file, right? And here we can basically use mongo private ppk, right? And we can also use mongo pub.pub, right? Everything is saved. Next thing we can do is we have our keys stored and everything taken care of. Now the thing is, we can go to resource and have our setup. Here I'm going to choose particular IP, right? So you will just have to get it. Notice that currently the virtual machine status is not ready. So in that case, what we can do is restart this so that we will be able to access it properly. So let it restart. So first time what will happen is that when you restart, it will get the VM agent ready, and we also have IP address. So let's wait for this to restart. Once the machine is restarted, what we can do is we pick the public IP address. Okay, so next thing is we will use party, and within that we will put our IP address. I will remove previous sessions, and here I will type in Mongo, and within connection we can go to authentication credentials. Now here I can add the private key mongo.ppk. Then I will just go back to session, save this and click open, accept, and then type in Azure user, because that's the one given by Azure by default. So now that we are connected, we can type in two commands, one being mongod, and that would start one of the services, right? Before that, let me tell you that you may need to set up few things like this particular host name that you may have to change in order for your MongoDB to work properly. For that, you can go through documentation on how to set things up on Azure VM, so you will be able to get started properly. So this was just an example on how you can set up the DevNami's MongoDB server on Microsoft Azure. Now there is also a second method which we will discuss, which is making use of bastion to connect to this server. So for that you can use this connection option here, or you can go to connect from settings. So if you use settings connect, you can click on bastion, where you can click use bastion, and within that you will be able to connect by deploying bastion. So it will create its own virtual network public address, and within few minutes it will give you access to the place where you can add your private key or that user generated key from Azure side into the field and connect. Okay, once the bastion is set up, I can type in Azure user, which is the user that we assigned. Then we choose SSH private key from file and give it the .pem file that Azure sent us. Right now, let's connect. And when connection is established, this will create a new tab in browser, which basically will connect using the key that we provided. Just connect. Okay, it seems like our server is in need for start, so we will give it restart. So right, let it run for restart. Once the server is restarted, we can go back to Bastion, and here within Bastion tab, let's take a look at the Bastion option. It seems like it got restarted, so could not able to use that. So let's wait for it to restart the instance, right? So type in Azure user, then give it the private ppk file, right? And now let's connect. Now here what we can do, we can type in Mongo or Mongo for service, and that should start the service as well. Now one thing to note here is that we'll have to set up the DevNami's MongoDB differently by making few changes to your local host and other changes, right? So for that you can go through documentation as link is given, but our goal was to connect through Bastion for this particular VM, which we successfully did. We can now exit by typing exit, and it will allow us to close the instance. So we managed to create MongoDB server using DevNami's image in Microsoft Azure board.